Does it mean anything to anyone in the room here that Neve Campbell is announcing that she is returning to the Scream series? I don't know how you feel about movies and movie franchises, but Scream is one of the great modern-day horror franchise, certainly, and just overall franchise, I think. Why'd you wave it off, Amin?
Enough with Scream. Enough. There's only so many times we could do the meta. Oh, this is like just all the other horror movies, and then it's from meta. Oh, it's just like all the other Scream movies. Enough. What's your favorite scary movie? You know what my favorite scary movie is? One that isn't just recycling the same goddamn movie over and over again.
I certainly can't watch scary movies. Don't know about the rest of you.
Just can't do it?
Just can't do it. Terrifies me. I have nightmares. Last night I was convinced that the scary monster from Stranger Things was in my hotel bathroom. Wow. And that's a show for children.
What is the worst horror movie that you have happened upon that made you fear all horror movies?
First of all, I knew this about myself before I ever saw a horror movie, but it was The Ring in 7th grade. Can't even. It strikes fear in my heart to talk about it, Dan.
Rosemary's Baby. Terrified. It's the only horror movie that I've ever been scared at. Like, legitimately, like, I got to turn
It was
this
Nightmare on Elm Street for me as a 36-year-old.
After I watched Sixth Sense for the first time, I didn't leave my bedroom after my parents were asleep for like 3 years.
Really?
Yeah, I hated a dark hallway.
I was
5 years ago,
confused.
Chris?
Who was alive? Who was dead? I had no idea what was happening.
I famously, Stugotz called that Bruce Willis was dead like in like 20 minutes of watching the movie.
Oh, you figured it out. Oh, you're so smart. Oh, just ruin the movie for everybody.
Wow.
Oh, man.
What are you doing?
Middle of a theater, I was just like, he's dead.
Oh, how annoying
Said
are
in the
you?
middle of the theater.
I did.
You stood up.
You
and
must
go,
have read
popcorn
it.
at you, man.
You must have read it before.
No. This is before you could read things before.
Was it?
There
Another
wasn't
actor
reading
better
back
than
then. Yeah.
Giamatti.
People couldn't read.
Recent development.
I Know What You Did Last Summer for me.
What? That
I
was
like
fun.
that movie.
I
It's a
saw
good
it when I
movie.
was in kindergarten.
Yeah.
That's bad
Jesus.
parenting.
Kindergarten.
That's a scary movie. That's a
A 5-year-old? Yes.
A 5-year-old learning about guilt?
Exactly. And then I went to Catholic school, and then, oh, my God, the combination of the two. I was just afraid if I ever did anything wrong, someone was going to come hunt me down and kill me with their hook hand or something.
But then you read the Da Vinci Code, and everything was good after that.
It's a gag.
I don't know how many
Just the papacy trying to kill me.
I don't know how many screams there have been. I don't know
Too many screams.
How many saws there have
Too
been.
many saws.
But I think once you get into the 8, 9, 10 of anything except Billy's Beloved,
Yeah, I was
Fast
gonna
and the
say,
Furious,
calm down there, Dan.
that anything is going to get bad, and any of them are going to come with the complaint that it's not as good as it used to be, except for perhaps Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh! Woo! There we go. Wow. Now it means a week. Let's talk about Curb.
You better not spoil too, I mean.
So good.
What-
I'm only 4 episodes in, but it has just been banger after banger.
4 might have been one of my favorite episodes of all time.
So good.
He's there. Look, there's been some slippage in recent seasons, right? When they came back after that long hiatus, it's like, I mean, it's funny, but it's not quite what it once was. But it kind of found its footing there in the second season of the return from hiatus. But then this season is legitimately one of the best seasons. He's going out. He's emptying all the chambers. Everybody's on top of their game. I submit to you that Vince Vaughn is the greatest Curb Your Enthusiasm actor.
Wow.
Not playing
Terrible
himself.
take.
Not playing himself.
What?
Wow.
Not
Really?
playing himself.
Wow.
Not other than Marty Funkhauser, Super Dave. That's the only
I
guy.
mean, that is a big one.
But I mean, he's not with us anymore. So
Right.
Vince Vaughn's number one.
Living.
I wouldn't even put him top 5.
Name some.
Wow.
Name some.
I'll make a list.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say, I would argue Vince Vaughn, top 10 actors of all time.
Oh no, I won't go that far.
Susie Green.
Susie plays Susie.
No, she plays Susie Eisman.
No, but she plays Susie.
Or whatever.
Susie's like that in real life. Jeff's like that in real I'm not talking about those guys. I'm talking about the people.
Cousin Andy.
No, Cousin Andy's nowhere near Vince Vaughn. Because Vince Vaughn is an improv genius. He's just throwing things back at Larry. Whatever you say, he's got
Leon
something.
Black.
Oh, yeah, JB Smooth.
Dude, like the best character in the show.
The whole this is not a spoiler, but the whole thing with his balls hanging out of his shorts.
Oh, that was great.
Was like legitimately so funny. I texted Amin to tell him that I saw it.
The best part about this season has been all the callbacks to prior seasons.
Yes.
So Long Ball Larry is a
I just
callback.
rattle off 4 though, pretty good.
Jeff and Susie don't count.
Long Ball Larry.
Why
and
do
Ther-
Jeff and Susie not count?
Larry Walker.
They're being themselves.
I have
It's
a
like
theory
Cheryl
of how
herself.
it ends, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone. And other people have kind of run with this theory also.
Wait,
Let's
I have
hear
a
it,
theory
Billy.
too.
He goes to jail.
Yes.
Like
the
the
Sein-
end-
the
like the end of
Seinfeld
Seinfeld.
finale.
Seinfeld finale.
He's doing the Seinfeld finale
Everyone has
again.
that theory,
yeah.
apparently.
He's doing the Seinfeld finale, but this time it's actually better because the Seinfeld finale, they went to jail because they didn't do the Good Samaritan thing. This time he's going to go to jail because he did a Good Samaritan thing. So it's the opposite.
Well, did he do a good Samaritan thing?
This isn't a spoiler, by the way, because everyone in the studio is freaking out right now. This happens in like the first 5 minutes of the first episode of the season. So
trial?
it's okay, guys.
Yeah.
Settle.
No.
I just
There's
hear people
articles
out
that
there
have
going,
been
la,
written
la,
about
la, la.
This is a theory too.
Is it a good Samaritan thing if he didn't mean to do it?
I mean, that's the whole thing of the bit, though, where
Yeah.
he's getting all this credit for something he didn't mean.
You have to
loves
take
it.
credit. I mean,
Oh, no, the Stugotz is incredibly strong in it. Taking credit for something he didn't mean to do.
I misread Billy's mischief there. I thought that he was coming in to destroy all things Curb Your Enthusiasm.
What do you mean?
No, you got into the conversation a little bit late. I didn't realize that you were following along and we're going to have a critic's appraisal of wherever it is we finish with this story, because it's one of the great television writers ever. At the height of his powers, trying to age with his last show when he didn't have to do anything after Seinfeld, in this political comedy climate, like it's a pretty high bar to reach. Amin. Amin is ready to criticize everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Larry David's doing things for Amin's approval.
So
We're gonna be
guess
perfectly
again.
honest.
Might I remind you that I once shared seats on a plane with the Ted Danson?
Hey.
Yep.
Shared a seat with him.
Yep. Well, I mean, he was my seatmate.
he was next to you.
He was next to me, and so then I shared a row with him.
And how did that go?
It went great. It went great because at first I was like, you know what? I'm not going to acknowledge him, right? All these people are coming on the plane. Oh, I love you so much. And I said, I'm not going to acknowledge him. And then I said, wait a second. I'm going to wait for one of these people to come on. I mean, I love you on ESPN.
That didn't
And that was the
happen.
first time ever. Every flight I'm on, someone ever said, I love your work. This is the first time it didn't happen. I wanted to down.
Every flight you've been on, someone comes up and says, Amin, I love your work, and you're hoping they did it in front of Ted Danson.
and they
it
didn't.
happen.
I wanted to
Oh,
exercise
one
my
time.
dominance the
Yeah.
one time.
Right.
So, anyways,
Bad
so
luck.
then we take off. He said something about what I was eating. I was like, oh, I got it from this place. It's really great. Whatever. We had some small talk. We take off. Then maybe a third left in the flight. I said, hey, by the way, I love you and Curb Your Enthusiasm. And he was so happy. He's like, everyone always says cheers or the good place or whatever. It's like, you're the first person. And I was like, oh, I'm cool like that. And then I told him Charles Barkley is my friend. He's like, really? And
He's a 2-time NBA champion. He's a 4-time All-Star. And I always thought he was interesting. I didn't sort of understand, how it is that he did some of the things that he did. I knew he had to be smart. I knew he had to be tough. But I was sort of confused by how can he control a game at that size.
He was also talented.
Yes, and had everything on a team that you would want to win a championship. So Rajon Rondo is with us, and he's the latest addition to our new partners at All the Smoke Productions. We will tell you to find them on YouTube, All the Smoke. So, Rajon, thank you for joining us, and I just wanted to start with those Celtics teams because we watched them, we admired them in Miami, we respected them, we learned to hate them, and it seems like you guys, Boston and Miami, anytime Paul Pierce has talked to, Garnett, Udonis, that none of that anger from those competitive battles you guys have had, it seems like none of it's gone away, that you still wear the scars because you guys were fighting for the top of the sport.
No, I wouldn't say that. We're very competitive gentlemen, and that's part of the nature of the game. Myself, personally, anything I do, I want to compete and be the best, but that's in the past. I've actually played with, LeBron and D-Wade since then, so there's no hard feelings, and I've actually won one with LeBron, so that's in the past.
What can you tell us about the time playing with Dwayne Wade? Because it seemed like in Chicago, it seemed like those were 3 veteran players playing very different personalities, playing with a bunch of players who weren't veterans, and you were brought into an interesting set of circumstances.
To me, it was a great experience. Me living in Chicago, people always say how cold it is, but I had a great experience living downtown, in the Triangle at the Waldorf. Easy access to the practice facility, and then with those group of gentlemen, uh, the young fellas that was there, Denzel Valentine, Bobby Portis, all the young guys I developed a relationship with still to this day, that worked extremely hard. They were hardworking young guys, and were dying to be led, to understand what it was to be a professional and a champion. So, along with the other two big guys, Wade and Jimmy, we had a great run. I believe we would have beat Boston that year as the eighth seed. Unfortunately, I broke my thumb in that series, game 2, and we didn't win another game. So for me, it was a great feeling because that particular year, the Bulls benched me that year, and they brought in a couple young guys and said I wasn't getting the job done. But for me, that was even more motivation to work. And I remember I was going around in Chicago, a lot of parts that people said I probably shouldn't be going in and playing basketball. Shout out to all those guys that kept me in shape. We play a game called 150, and we would play the 150. And I played with a lot of old guys, guys that obviously played back in the day, and this local Chicago legend. So I appreciate those guys for keeping me in shape, keeping me motivated. And then when I came back from not starting, when they inserted me back into the playoffs against the Celtics, like I said, I think I was a big part of why we won those first 2 games. Jimmy and D Wade. I remember after, I think it was game 1 on the road, we went to Boston. I asked those 2 guys to stay back in the ballroom, and we went over different plays that we can walk through and execute in the fourth quarter, because Brad didn't or wasn't aware of those sets that we want to run. And I think that was really the key to why we won in the fourth quarter in those 2 games. And as you see, we come home and we lose 4 straight. So that pretty much sums it up.
That is how that went. You got hurt. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Rajon, I got to ask you, because you've always been known as one of the smartest players. Famously, you call out the plays that they're running and tell your team, translate with their play calls and all that. Is that learned? Can you teach that, or is that just something you got in you?
Well, I'm trying to teach that right now to my son. I believe you can be taught that. Obviously, it takes a lot of dedication, time, and discipline. But at the same time, me, just like I said, want to be a competitor. To me, it's like having an answer to the test. And when you go into a test prepared for what you want to see on the test, you feel a lot more comfortable, and you understand what positions you need to put yourself in. So I believe it can be taught, and hopefully one day I get into coaching, and I want to be kind of the Phil Jackson type of coach, where I kind of sit down the entire game and let the coaches coach themselves. And, that'll be my satisfaction of them understanding what I want from my teammates throughout the organization and program.
And so to that point, a lot of times really smart players get frustrated when teammates or sometimes even coaches can't see the game the way you see it. How do you overcome that frustration?
Well, maybe I will have to self-reflect and figure out how I can get those players to get to the knowledge of to see the game how I see it. Or we replace those players if they aren't willing to put the time and dedication in. But for me, I feel like I'm learning a lot. Because again, now I'm coaching my son's AAU program, Rondo Elite. I have 4 teams now, and it's crazy how much film we watch. This past weekend, we went to Birmingham, Alabama. We didn't win it, but we lost to a really good team, the number 1 team in the country in the class of 2030. So for me, like I said, we watch film damn near every game. After every game, we learn, we understand constructive criticism. And at 12 years old, these guys are really open-minded and understanding what I expect from them. And I don't think it's any different, being able to coach at a pro level. I'm a big believer in film, as I've said over and over again. And if you can teach the game and they can't understand it, then I got to figure out how to teach them a different way. So I'll put that on myself and continue to try to learn in different personalities. I learned from Doc back in the day that you can't coach everyone the same. There's some guys you can yell at, some guys you have to pull to the side. And that's just dealing with different personalities and who they are and trying to understand each individual on a personal level.
Does Coach Rondo yell at the referees?
Not AAU basketball. These guys aren't getting the check that the NBA refs are getting, so I don't hold them, to a higher standard. It's not you. Now, again, when it's a blatant call, just like anyone else, I'm gonna voice my opinion. But again, like I said, I want to be more of a chill, laid back coach. Like I said, I would love to sit down the entire game. It probably won't go that way if I start off with a young team, but just like Coach Mosley down in Orlando, he's doing a hell of a job. And, I played with him in Dallas those years, the couple of months I was in Dallas. So he called me the other day and talked about a segment that I said on last show. I think it was a bully ball about how I dissected film. And he showed his guys some clip of it. And like I said, it depends on whatever situation I'm in. If I fall into a Luke Walton situation, then obviously it'll be a lot different as far as teaching the game with a veteran team. But nevertheless, regardless of whatever situation I come into, for me, I think the key is to have a great staff. And they see my vision, they'll be able to translate it to the team amongst themselves. And I wouldn't have to explain or work as hard if my staff knows what I expect from them and want from the players.
You mentioned Jimmy Butler a couple of minutes ago, and I'm wondering, did you think Jimmy would turn into the Jimmy that we're seeing right now with the Heat?
Absolutely. I mean, I think he was that guy even when the Bulls, like I said, we didn't get an opportunity to get far in the playoffs, but Jimmy loved the big games. He loved the big moments. He's a professional at his craft. Jimmy was a hard worker, back in the Bulls days. He has a lot of discipline. He kind of reminded me of Kevin Garnett, how he approached the game. And so what he's doing now, I'm not surprised. Like I said, this is who he is, and he thrives in the big moments, and he wants all the pressure on himself.
I don't feel like you're allowed to say you're not surprised. I don't feel like I understand, and I mean no disrespect by this, but I can't, if I come up to you in Chicago in the locker room where you and Dwayne Wade are there, and I'm like, you know what's going to happen here? Jimmy Butler's going to lead a team to the finals, and the numbers he's going to put up are all going to be Michael Jordan's numbers. Rajon Rondo can know a lot of things without knowing that was going to happen, because none of us thought that could happen. You're telling us, no, I knew that could happen, that he could drag a team by himself to the finals like that, looking like Michael Jordan.
He averaged 24.
I mean, you gotta think about it. Jimmy has also one of the greatest coaches ever coached all the time as well. In Spo. So the preparation that Spo's put in, I played against Spo many years. I can't say that Jimmy obviously wasn't going to have those particular numbers, no. But the way the game has changed, you see the numbers inflated. So the game has changed. The referees, the game is called differently. The three balls being shot a lot more, and the way he's been able to manipulate the game and draw fouls, get to the free throw line at all-time high. But to me, Jimmy still gets to his spots. These are the same spots he gets to when I saw him working in Chicago with Chris Johnson. So no, I can't say he was going to have Michael Jordan like his numbers, but at the same time, his willpower and, the way he's a dog. I mean, he's one of the most dominant guys when it comes to, man-to-man matchups. He wants all the smoke. he wanted to go against every time everybody does, but could say they want to go against LeBron. But when he went against LeBron or the big dogs, like, he brung it every time, and that's what he thrives on. So, again, I can't say he was going to have the Michael Jordan numbers, but his mindset, along with Spo and then the guys around him, everybody bought in, understand that he was the leader of the team, and those guys make shots. Robinson, Hero, those type of guys. Bam's, evolved. So you acting like he's playing with, not a lot of talented team, but he is the man, and he has some talent on his team as well.
Rajon, Charlotte Wilder, resident Celtics fan, which is good because there's not enough representation of Boston fans in national sports media.
Okay.
Are you in touch with guys on the team now? And how are they feeling? Because obviously they're the best team in the league. I have terrifying feelings of it's going too well. What do you know about?
It's a little weird the way that people think that the only thing that can derail the Celtics are that they're not as mentally tough as Jimmy Butler. It feels like that's the only criticism you can hear of what can undo the Celtics.
Ooh, I don't know. I keep in touch with Sam Cassell and Phil Pressey. They're on the staff, and they're a good friend of mine. Phil was my rook, and I was damn near Sam's rook. So full circle moment. I've always called Sam throughout my career about advice, and wanted to lean on him as far as to go in the right direction. I actually went to Boston early this year. I'm actually going to Boston on Monday, this upcoming week. So I do keep in touch from time to time, not any particular individual players, but I played at least with like 7 guys on the team. Drew Holiday is one of my favorite teammates of all time, and I thought that was a great addition. And we're seeing that now with the way they're running this year. But they obviously they have a shot. They have a really good opportunity to get it done this year. And I don't think Joe gets enough credit. Joe's kicking ass as far as his X and O's and the way he's executing down the stretch. A lot of people may not like his thinking or the way he's substitution pattern in some games, but at the end of the day, they're still the team to beat, I believe.
Rajon, thank you for the team to beat was a little bit better than they have a chance. Okay, you need. I'm gonna coach you up here. I'm gonna coach you up here in the media game in the take business in the take business. Okay,
go ahead.
To
Dan.
sell to just Stugotz, I need your help here. You're the take master.
Yep.
To say that Celtics have a shot, Rajon, not good enough. Not to say they have a shot is unacceptable, and we're going to need you to do better than that.
You have to say, Rajon, they have to win it this year or break up the team, something like that.
Yes. You got to something.
Right.
We
Fire someone, do
fire
anything.
somebody,
Right.
trade somebody. You've learned nothing from Kendrick Perkins. You've learned nothing from how Kendrick Perkins does it.
That's not me. That's not me. But
Now you
I won't
fire
say
the
anybody has to get fired. If anything, I'll say they have to hire me. I mean, along with Joe.
Bingo.
There you
Fire
go.
the
See, now that's
coach,
how you do
hire
that.
me, Coach Rondo.
Resume.
No. I said hire me alongside Joe. I didn't say
Oh,
that.
come on. Oh, man.
Rajon, what movie should Joe be watching this year? He watched The Town last year. What should he be watching this year?
You talking about a Boston-based movie?
Yes.
You said The Town.
I asked him that, and he said A Bronx Tale, and I think we need a Boston-based movie.
A fever pitch.
Departed.
That's a good question. You called me off that. I don't know a Boston-based movie besides The Town was one of my movies.
You can say The Town again. You can say Run It Back.
What was Departed? The Departed? What was The
One
Departed?
was Boston.
Boston.
Yeah.
That was Boston.
I'll
Jack
say
Nicholson.
The Departed.
There was a rat at the end.
terrible.
I like fever pitch.
What are the great untold? There's got to be something about your championship teams that most people do not know, because it is very hard, Rajon. Maybe people don't understand, right? The Warriors broke up after 4 years of winning because winning together can be hard, and you guys got together very quickly. You did the hardest thing together. You developed lifelong bonds. You have a championship. What are the things that people don't know about that champion Celtics team?
I think one thing that helped us glue really quickly is we went to Rome right away. We went to Rome, Italy. We all shaved our heads. Paul caught me sleeping one day in a room, and he kind of came in the room and he nicked my head, and I had a bald patch, and I wanted to whoop his, but
When in Rome.
I ended up,
When in Rome.
When in Rome. He just saw an opportunity to make a when in Rome
You left
joke.
me a window.
Yeah, he did. That's right.
Much like the Celtics, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right. So no, we went to Rome, Italy. No one spoke Italian, so we kind of was stuck with, kind of being in our rooms a lot, going to a lot of dinners and getting to know one another. Again, because the age difference was a lot. We had Sam Cassell, we had Scott Pollard, Eddie House, Kevin, all the older guys, and then we had a bunch of young guys, kind of implemented in Big Baby, myself, Perk, TA. So again, it's being older now, understanding you don't really clash or click a lot with a lot of young guys and vice versa. So getting that chemistry developed pretty early. The big three coming together, understanding about sacrifice, and us watching them develop that type of chemistry early on, and watching those guys grow was a big difference. And I believe that if we don't go to Rome that particular year, preseason, we don't win it. We gel pretty quickly. Our mindset, Doc had us a great Ubuntu word that we loved in the locker room, and we visualized and we talked about it every day. The rookies had to do a presentation on Ubuntu, and I think we bought in, and I think that's the key. We bought in right away. We handled adversity early. Not much adversity, obviously. We was kicking ass early, but when we did have those times where arguments in the locker rooms or fights in practice, they didn't get out into the media. And like I said, we went about it as professionals, and we locked in and figured out how to get it done that year.
How many?
So I believe.
How many arguments, fights? How normal is that in a highly competitive environment where how normal is every day has some arguments and fights in it?
Not normal, especially nowadays. I mean, I don't feel like my last couple years in the league that practices were as competitive. I believe in the '08, the 9-10 era. We had a thing called G unit runs after practice. I mean, that's where back in the day when GM was popping. We would play 1-on-1 and there was no fouls being called. I mean, guys would get fucked up. I mean, it was crazy. Guys would get hit in the mouth, and if you weren't bleeding, it wasn't considered a foul. And that's how we competed. The first unit versus second unit, we wanted to destroy them every day. And so when we got in the game was a lot easier. And that's as cliche as it sounds, like that's how we approached it. Doc made us compete. He would have to sit Kevin Garnett on the sidelines because it got so competitive. But Kevin he never wanted to come out even in practice. And then when we did come out, he would run the sidelines up and down the court as if he was still in the game. So that's just kind of instilled in the young guys. It made us more competitors on and off the court. And it helped our bond as well.
Can you please, though, explain to the audience, for those who don't understand what championship medal looks like, and Kevin Garnett was a kind of crazy competitive. At the height of you guys competing, maximum escalation champion, no fouls are called here unless you're bleeding. What's the worst of that look like? What's the frenzy, like who gets angriest with whom? Because now you're talking about, very physical people being very competitive.
Well, the two giants that used to go at it all the time was Leon Poe and Big Baby. And it's two young guys obviously competing for a spot, so it was a little bit more to it than, we would say a Leon Poe versus a Kevin Garnett. He's already established. He's a made man, first ballot Hall of Famer. But the Leon Poe Baby matchups along with Perk, those were fun to watch on the sideline because the guards we would have our own games down on one end, and then the big guys would be on the opposite end playing one-on-one. So that was fun to watch. And like I said, when we're done playing, you can hear all the shit talking in the gym on the other side. And it got very physical, but nevertheless, like I said, each game and each practice, we finished as a team. Maybe times where guys were pissed off the next couple of days, but at the end of the day, we would still come back the next day and compete just as hard. And Doc always reeled us back in to have the main goal, the focus is to win the championship.
Dan, I don't think you understand how many talkers were on that roster.
Oh my goodness!
It's like the whole roster was talkers. Because everyone always thinks about Paul and KG, but Eddie House is a world-class talker.
James Posey's
a world-class talker. Yeah. So Rajon, rank them for us. Who was the 1 seed? Who was the 2? And who was the 3?
Wait a minute. Hold on, Rajon. Can we do this dramatically with you? Can we do it from the bottom up? Can we go 5-4? Can you organize your thoughts to go 5-4, 3, 2, 1 dramatically? Top 5 talkers on the champion Celtics.
Shit, even Scout talker.
Let's go with
number 5.
Number 5 would be James Posey.
Wow.
Posey talks so much. Because Posey was on when they won a championship on that team. So he would act like, you motherfuckers don't know nothing what's going on. Let me teach you how to, how
he
to
had
get
a
it
ring
done.
and you did it, right?
He came in with a ring he came in with a ring already. So we gave him 2 of these, like,
Number 4.
4. Because of the inexperience, I would say myself. Number 4, I'll go 4 for me.
You were young then, you got better at it, but number 4, you were about the 4th best on that team.
In '08, I was probably about the 4th best. I was still very humble, and I was trying to find my way. So I would say 4 for me.
All right, you were an amateur talker. Number 3.
Yes. 3. Eddie House. Eddie House.
That's a good team of
Yes.
If Eddie House isn't finishing a lot of bronze medalists in these categories.
Rajon is 4th.
Yeah, okay, yes. Number 2.
Paul Pierce.
Yeah, now we all know who number 1 is.
Paul was a hell of a talker. Like I said, he would talk while he's at the free throw line. I mean,
come on,
crazy. I've heard him say some wild shit. Richard Jefferson. Mid dribbling through the free throw. He's talked to every power forward that I've seen him play against. Joe Johnson, Josh Smith. I mean, he's up there. And again, he's my teammate, so I had to defend him and go ahead and ride with him, obviously. But he says he was like you want to fight him right away, immediately. So, and then obviously, last but not least, number 1 coming in
most.
Kevin Garnett.
Not a
Dan,
surprise.
Dan, some names left off the list. Sam Cassell.
Oh, wow.
Tony Allen.
Oh, lie.
I'm telling you, this was like the 1927 Yankees.
Thank you. We appreciate it, Rajon. Thank you for being on the show. Good talking to you.
Appreciate you, gentlemen. Y'all have a good one.
All right. All the Smoke Productions. You need to find what they're doing on YouTube. Thank you, sir.
All right, have a good one.
Stugotz just discovered that the first comment on anything on the internet is from an
Everyone's it seems like. I mean,
but the first comment from everyone, there is real high comedy on the internet from just the first comment from everybody is from an because Stugotz is just now noticing that Ryan Leaf put something up of his new child, and the first comment was something along the lines of, "Does your daughter know you were a bust?"
and Ryan responded, and it was a good job by him saying, "Not yet. She's only 14 weeks. She'll find out," which is funny. But why are people? I'm okay with being an, but I'm not good when I see others do it. I'm just not.
That begs a question. At what point, if you were a bust, do you tell your kids?
It does create the funny visual of telling a 14-week-old, like sitting the infant down.
When they figure out
they're laying, probably not sitting.
Then when they figure out that you reach very high heights of athletics, and you have to be like, yeah, but didn't like fully pan out.
I think it's got to be like, mama, dada, bust. Like that's the third word.
No,
you teach.
it's second word. Mama and then bust.
No
It's not
dada?
It's bust. Yeah.
I bet that Ryan Leaf was more successful than that commenter.
I was just going to say,
Kids love bust though.
No, because
Usually
Ryan Leaf
are.
went to prison. So
Damn.
Oh,
that
man.
automatically.
He was a 7-time convicted felon. I mean,
Yeah. The commenter amazingly comes out on top here.
you say that, but wouldn't Ryan Leaf be framing that to the child? Your father was very good at football all of his life.
Not
Top
all of his life.
1%.
We have a fun fact about first words. Jess and I have the same first word, and it's really strange. 1, 2, 3. Backhoe. Yeah, like an
Those are first
excavator.
words.
Yeah, that was both of our first words.
it's an odd first word.
Wow.
Backhoe?
I thought they said tobacco
Backhoe.
without the "t."
That was my first word.
I thought it was like they were telling someone to get back. Back, ho! Back.
Well, actually, my parents never provided context, so maybe, yeah.
But
maybe
why
it's
would
two
that be
words.
your first word?
According to my mom, we were driving by a construction site, and she was like, "Look, there's a backhoe," and it happened to be the first time I decided to open my mouth.
And I had a toy backhoe.
Yeah.
My
That's
daughter
what I
could
would.
say excavator before I could because
You
of
still can't.
because of Blippy.
You still struggle.
There's an excavator episode, and my
can't
daughter
say
was
it.
like, "What's an
You
excavator?"
just said it wrong.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm telling you, I can't say it. Excavator, whatever. I'm just like I said.
Backhoe.
My daughter showed me that I couldn't say that
You should
word.
watch more Blippy, it sounds like.
Yeah.
But Charlotte and I found out about our first words in one of the strangest ways possible because we are a few years apart in age, didn't
I'm
grow up
older.
in the same region of the country, never knew each other until our first job together at SB Nation. And we were typing in Slack, having a Slack conversation across the office, and someone brought up first words. And at the same time, we both typed into Slack, my first word was backhoe. And it was so spooky. We both stood up.
Yeah, we were on the opposite
it's
side of the
it's
office. We
shocking.
didn't know each other, and just looked at each other, and we're
Picturing
like,
two heads popping up from
"No,
cubicles.
it was yes,
Cubicle
exactly."
farm.
Except,
exactly
it
that.
was an open office plan because startups, am I right? But yes.
we made eye contact, and we were like, "Wow."
I forgot this is a startup with an open office floor plan.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the worst. There's nowhere to take a phone call. There's nowhere to Zoom. Cubicles, bring them back, Jack.
That is one of the most amazing origin stories I've ever seen of did we just become best friends? What are the odds that backhoe, were you spelling it the same? Was it indeed
Yeah, we
one
both
word?
spelled it correctly. I will.
One
add.
word.
which for me
Backhoe.
was huge.
But how the hell is that anyone's first words on anything?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. None.
That's yeah.
That's why it's an interesting story.
Yeah.
Yes. That's why she told it.
I mean, you're saying that this dunk last night on Wemby,
2 nights ago.
2 nights ago, excuse me,
Fine.
a lot of people are trying to shame Wemby for being dunked on, and you're saying it shouldn't count as a shame-filled he was dunked on
Personal
situation?
record book, huh?
I didn't.
Stugottsbook.com.
By the way, I got the email.
Good.
Did
you buy one?
They want me. No, they want me to write.
Oh,
it as well,
all right.
So.
Yeah, COB.
You also heard from his people instead of from him?
Absolutely got an email detailing what they wanted me to write.
Perfect.
Thanks for the invite, Stu.
I don't feel like this is an honor.
We're getting to you. Yeah.
What's your topic, Amin?
I think it's Kevin Durant. I think I have to.
I think that's Mike Scherr's
Yeah,
topic.
sure got one of those.
I don't want to. I don't want to give away. Or can I give it away?
No.
Okay, I don't want to give it away.
Stu says no because he doesn't
You
know.
have no rights here. You just work for free. You'll hear from his people. Just shut the
Wemby should be filled with shame, but this is not a dunk, ladies and gentlemen. Not a dunk.
We have the B-roll here for people.
Let's watch it right here. So here's the deal, right? In order for it to be a dunk, you have to touch the rim. You have to touch the rim. And I know what you're saying. Oh, I mean, what about this dunk and what about that? No. I'll tell you how we know. Way back in the day in basketball, when they outlawed the dunk, you were not allowed to dunk. What did Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and all these guys, Lou Alcindor, I should say, how did they get around it? They got around it by making shots like that. They would get up high and throw it through the rim, but they never touch the rim because technically that's not a dunk. Using that definition, this is not a dunk. It's a hell of a layup. It's an aggressive floater. That's what I like to call it, a highly aggressive floater.
That's not a poster if it's an
It is
aggressive
Oh,
floater.
it's a poster. It's absolutely a poster.
I'm totally with Amin on this. Your hands have to touch the rim when you dunk.
Gotta touch it.
Have you been, can you be posterized, put it on the poll, Juju, by an aggressive floater?
Wembanyama did.
I hear posterized as posturized.
Did you push back
watch
when
Flippy.
Dwight Howard won the dunk contest a couple times where he didn't even with the Superman cape? I'm pretty
Yep.
sure he didn't touch the rim.
He didn't
there.
touch the rim. Not
Did
a
you
dunk.
Speak up then.
No, I did speak
Okay,
up.
good.
I have a long-standing tradition of speaking up every time someone does it. Blake Griffin over Timothy Mozgov, not a dunk.
Huh.
Keon Clark over Sean Bradley, not a dunk. Trace Jackson Davis over Wemby, not a dunk.
Backhoes?